Gang, gang.
Pero tengo los míos, hermanos. Aquí estamos todo bien. Me gozo la vida, pa' mí es la ley. Con todas las rolas como Purple Rain. Sin nada de flex o jugando games. Me gozo lo mío, gente, estoy insane.
Hi pretty people, it's Crystal, your very own beauty pro. And when I say I'm a beauty pro, I actually am a professional makeup artist, and along the way I've also become a licensed esthetician and hairstylist. As a working makeup artist, my focus is advertising, commercial. I also do editorial, runway like New York Fashion Week. In addition to doing what I love, I also love sharing those pro tips and tricks with you. I've done hundreds of faces on all the races. I have a lot of beauty secrets that everybody can use. Gucci has had a very successful revamp this year. Original Gucci beauty line was already fabulous when it was launched years ago because it was led by the one and only Pat McGrath. It was very well done. It was pretty good quality overall. It had that like 90s Gucci feel with the packaging and so forth, but this remodel is just as beautiful in its own way. This one has a more old Hollywood glamour, a more vintage feel. It's so pretty. The new foundation and primer have these beautiful quality glass packaging. They also, in their bronzer and their powder, had these beautiful vanity-worthy compacts. I knew Gucci was coming out with other products and I was anticipating a new release, but by the time we got a little bit into December, I thought, oh, well, I guess we'll have to wait until the new year. But then they surprised us by releasing the primer and the foundation. The Silk Priming Serum comes in this beautiful glass bottle. It may be reminiscent of some other simple brands with similar coloring, but I assure you the quality is good on this one. Beautiful frosted glass bottle, and you can feel that the cap is subtly weighted. It has a lovely floral fragrance, but if you're sensitive to fragrance, you may want to be aware. Gucci says this gives a nice, beautiful, soft, focused finish to the skin, whether you're going without makeup or you plan to wear the foundation. New Natural Finish Foundation. So it also promises a soft, focused finish. It can be very subtle and natural light coverage, or it is buildable, and it says it can go up to a subtle full coverage. So I'll show you whether or not that's the case. One of the immediate challenges that many people are going to face, especially with us being indoors and not being able to try out things as often, is finding their shade. Now Gucci does have a shade finder, and they do at least have a lot of real life people with these shades on, but because of lighting and because your computer screens and phone screens vary, it still is a little hard to tell. Just so happens that I know the real skin tone of a couple of those models, and they were close to mine, so I was able to come pretty close. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Numbering system of Gucci is similar to the numbering system of Fenty Beauty. Now, before anybody runs off and says that Crystal said that the Gucci and Fenty are the same, they are not. It's just the numbering system is similar, and there are only so many numbering systems and ways of doing things that the different brands have, and different categories, and sometimes you'll notice little similarities in them that the labs also do. They have the hundreds grouping, like 300, 400, and then they have the N, W, and cool grouping. If I had my way and the channel was generating more income, I really would have loved to get like 5 to 10 of the shades, because keeping in mind that I am a working makeup artist, I have everyone's shade in various brands in my pro kit. So I could have pulled out those shades from the pro kit, from the fairest girl to the deepest girl, and I could have compared some of the Gucci shades to those and showed you some real life swatches, but unfortunately I'm unable to do that at the time. But I did take one for the team to the extent possible, and I got 2 shades. I got 350W and 330W, and I will be comparing those to the 330 in Fenty and the 350 in Fenty. Again, that's just the numbering system. That is not the quality. Those foundations are in different tiers. And as another treat I know some people will appreciate, I compared the 2 shades of the Gucci foundation that I got with several other mainstream foundation brands. Gucci 330W, Fenty 330. Gucci 350W. Fenty 350. $330W. 350W. Tom Ford Soft Matte 7.7 Honey. Pat McGrath Medium 19. MAC Studio Fix Fluid NC44. La Mer Amber. Estee Lauder Double Wear in Bronze. Estee Lauder Double Wear in Bronze. Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish 10 Neutral. Nars Natural Radiant Longwear in Tahoe. So we're going to do the Serum de Beauté Fluide, and this is the Silk Priming Serum. So we'll take a little on the fingertips. We'll start by pressing that in. And primer really should be strategic. It should go where you really want it to go. So for my oily girls or my girls with larger pores, you really want to start by pressing it into those areas that have pores that are more apparent, into areas where foundation tends to travel. The natural creases and the movement areas of your face, like forehead, around your smile, around your eyes. No matter what age you are, those are areas of the face that move frequently. Also, if you have challenges with your concealer moving, then pat a little primer or a little eye primer, a quality one though, beneath the eye, and that will help your concealer go on smooth and not travel as much. And then once I've pressed and merged it in, I'll massage it in. We're going to start with the shade 350W, which is my least favorite of the two. I think that these W's, at least the ones I'm trying and the ones that I'm seeing people try, they have a bit too much of that golden mustard shade, a bit too much of the marigold. Generally speaking, I prefer them to lean a little more neutral so that it has a more universal appeal and more people have an opportunity to try it. But with so much yellow and mustard, it may be a bit of a challenge for many. One of the very first things that impressed me is how a little goes such a long way. I started with one drop and I practically covered one side of my face, so I was impressed by that. Second thing I noticed instantly is that it definitely has its promised soft focus finish. So my oily girls are going to really enjoy this. I would definitely say it's suitable for all skin because while it's matte, I didn't find it drying on my normal to dry skin. One of the things I also look for in a foundation is that it spreads even and smooth. Another test you can do is after you've applied a foundation and waited a couple of minutes, press your finger into it. While it might leave a soft indentation, it shouldn't leave like a really deep, unpleasant fingerprint, and it shouldn't be doughy to the appearance, like it shouldn't turn really grainy when you press it. That's one way you'll know if it's a quality formula I have found. And when I do the press test, this is beautiful. It's self-setting. Then we're going to move in with the 330W, which is pretty close match to my complexion actually. And although I know that the 350 is slightly deeper and slightly more olive, I still chose to wear it because it might be a good reference for someone who is closer to that shade. This 330 on the other hand, when it settled down, it is pretty close to an exact match. Gucci says the foundation is designed to be worn in multiple ways. It can be a soft, barely there coverage to just subtly even out the skin tone, but then it's buildable and can go into a subtle, what they call a subtle full coverage. And I actually completely agree. It is definitely what I call a consumer full coverage. A pro full coverage really has an almost completely opaque coverage where it can cover tattoos or severe discoloration, and then a consumer full coverage can give you a flawless finish and go so far as to cover up freckles and some imperfections as well. So I am back to tell you what I think about the finished surface of the foundation without any assistance from concealer or any other makeup. That's really the best way to tell if you're going to really like the foundation itself, and a foundation at this level of luxury should perform all on its own. The first thing I can tell you is that I am enjoying this even more the second time around than I did when I wore it the first time. It is smooth, even, flawless, but soft. Because I'm normal to dry, I do not have to powder this. I could get away with not powdering this. The other thing when I'm testing for wear is I'll lightly blot with a soft tissue and I'll see what the transfer is like. This has not been set and there's very little transfer. That is very promising. Although I don't need to set this foundation, I thought this would be a nice opportunity to use the Gucci powder. This is shade number 8. It comes in a nice selection of shades, but they could definitely use an expansion. But I will say this shade number 8 is one of the best matches I've ever had in my life. It's just this beautiful toasty golden. This powder gives you a soft, matte, perfected finish. I said I was going to add concealer, but instead I just took a drop of the 330 on a beauty blender and I just built that up under the eye and let that serve as our concealer for today. So that's just a beautiful, lightweight, nice tip. If you found a foundation you really love, get that foundation and a concealer shade that you want, and then you get that beautiful finish of a foundation, but the coverage and shade of a concealer, and it won't crease as much as some concealers tend to do. And to set the under eye, I'm going to take a little bit of the Mcgrath Blurring under eye powder in the shade medium. I do like this formula. It gives the under eye this flawless appearance. I wish that there were more shade options and that they were slightly warmer. And I'm using my new Mcgrath concealer brush to apply the under eye powder. It has a perfect shape for this, and because the surface is so soft, I can use it for this without disturbing or adding any texture to the under eye. Then let's add a pretty shape and dimension to the face with the Gucci bronzer in 03. But I'm using this with a big fluffy brush. I don't want that targeted appearance of bronzer that some people do when they're really applying it more as a contour. Today I'm going to wear the bronzer more like a true bronzer. That's why I have this big brush, because I want a big airy wash of it. This is giving me wealthy, healthy skin, flawless complexion, vacation tan vibes. The rest of the makeup details will of course be in the information box, along with my links if you would like to use them. But even if you're not shopping at the moment, the links are an easy, convenient way to click on products and learn more about them. The other thing I thought might be interesting for you to know is what other foundations this one reminds me of that might have a similar formulation or similar finish or wear on the skin. So I pulled a few of those. So one of the first ones it reminds me of is the Nars Radiant Longwear, which is one of my absolute favorites. It gives a flawless, natural, scrumptious finish to the skin. It's semi-matte, but it still has that little satin and life in it. And this one lasts forever. Like if you've ever had a long flight, I mean like a really long one, 14 or more hours, this has lasted me and had me looking fabulous. So it's similar in finish to that, although I have not tested the wear. It also reminds me in finish of the Clé de Peau Beauté. This one might have a slight edge on the coverage. Nars' new soft matte release has that similar soft matte finish but lifelike. I think the Nars definitely has an even fuller, more flawless baby doll coverage. The Gucci and the Tom Ford Soft Matte might be closest in feel and application. So if you're familiar with any of those, you'll get a sort of an idea of how this appears on the skin. To summarize, it gives more coverage than I anticipated. It gives a nice consumer full coverage, but it can also go on soft and super natural. It goes on smoothly and evenly, no patchiness. And although it does have a matte finish, it is not drying on my dry skin. I wore it a few hours and it wore well. My first time trying the Gucci foundation, I thought, oh, this is nice. But this time trying it, I'm like, this is really pretty. So of course I'll have to wear it more to get more of a solid opinion on it. Now, is it in competition with some of the ones I mentioned or some of my favorites of the year? And as a matter of fact, what are my favorite foundations of the year? That is going to be a video in itself, and I can't wait to do that one. I really enjoyed sharing the new Gucci foundation with you, along with some of my other Gucci goodies that you may or may not have known that I had. I'm wearing the Gucci brow pencil. I'm also wearing a Gucci lipstick beneath the Tom Ford lip gloss, but that's a story that will be in the information box. I hope you're all well. I thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the very next video. But until next time, keep it pretty.
Me gozo la vida, pa' mí